and then we'll do like a part 1, part 2. So yeah, where were we up to? What we were talking about or didn't you say what about the dog's expression? Was that where we were up to?
Yes, I think that's very.
Yeah, I mean, just calling up the image again. I think we were saying something about the dog has this kind of something Egyptian about him,
Monumental,
in his statuesqueness. And
then you pointed out the chain from his collar swinging over to Hiram's left hand finger, at least.
Yeah, then there's the chain and a somewhat a garter-like aspect of the
what's the significance of the garter? What's the significance of the garter?
Well, the garter is, it's like you've got the order of the garter.
It's on the leg, and is it related to like the lower chakra?
You can go into that. It's like there's a significance of it also in the order of the garter. There's also the wedding tradition that you have a garter, or there's all kinds of links there. And again, I think it is designating something to do with the lower forces and having command and control over the creative drives as sexuality and again, so like Hiram, the chain from the garter, almost like a Christmas-like garter.
Yeah.
But it's reflecting the green and red of Hiram's clothing, and then the chain from the neck down, and as we were saying, forming like a bow to the right finger, like
as though he's holding it, like almost as you do in archery, ready to release.
Yeah, and he's holding that bow, and with his right hand he's holding another bow, almost like a sine curve or something. Another bow which is being held in the right hand of the slave.
And so there's almost wisdom and power in each of his hands.
Well, there's something again, if it's an intensification, all of the composition points to this Hiram as the central figure.
Yeah.
So the lady in pink confronts us as in our uprightness, in our ich, with this the purple gown and her gaze. So and we were saying before, like, look at the heads, they're always all like almost like carbon copies, or all sisters of each other, almost like heads stuck on. But she holds our gaze in an upright position, holds then in her right hand the gift as a lady in waiting from Sheba to Solomon. But then you see all of the fingers are pointing down to the earth, into the earth. And Hiram, they are all pointing down. You see even the lady in the purple pointing down. And then Hiram with his right hand is pointing down further into the...
And he's the closest person to the earth by his stature and his swarthy complexion.
Yeah, and then he's more swarthy than Solomon, which is a very Anglo-Saxon, almost Celtic coloured figure, red beard.
Oh yeah,
Solomon, and red-haired Sheba, and also red-haired lady in waiting. And then the more swarthy, as you said, the more swarthy Hiram, and then holding up his gaze is then meeting the gaze of the slave, and the slave,
who's the darkest of them all.
The darkest of them all, and then the slave's gaze is not returning the gaze of Hiram, but is looking to the scene of Solomon and Sheba.
It's funny because looking at the servant, if you follow him down, the picture's been cropped. I don't know how much there is, but from where here, he almost looks like a satyr with the legs of the dog. The dog's rear legs could be his lower.
Yeah, I saw that too, and it's almost like he's like those are like his feet. I'm not sure if we've got the very edge of the.
I think it's been cropped a bit badly because the knight on the other side is just sliced off.
Yeah,
but anyway, but even so, that's a suggestion which is coming through by somebody's presentation.
Yeah, and it's funny, the slave is also the youngest face. If you see, there's a youthfulness. If you look at his youthfulness and compare it to like the Egyptian, what I'm calling the Egyptian dog, that facial expression is almost human, isn't it? But
yeah,
like a very ancient, stone-like,
gruntled, grizzled.
Yeah, but as Master Mason, Hiram as Master Mason, holding that power of Egyptian masonry of the pyramids. But anyway, I thought this is all quite fascinating. If we draw this back into line with some of the things we were talking about last time with the Great Reset, and we spoke last time when we were talking about the Martin Bodmer Foundation. So I actually was there this week.
Oh yes.
Went to the World Economic Forum and actually went up to the gates and said, is it open for the public? And then I did a meme. No, it's just open for the bugs. I couldn't resist, but it was a funny moment because they did try and get in there, and they kind of laughed. I mean, there's an incredible amount of staff there and lots of security, and they laughed, and I was wondering why are they laughing? Like the security guards, they were really just laughing at me, and I wasn't being funny. I wasn't like trying to do some comedy act. I was just
they probably get it a lot.
I was just being
and they're like,
Mr. Normal,
saying, you can't come in. You're not invited.
I don't know if they were saying if that was their implication. I was just saying, is it open for the public?
And then they laughed.
they laughed, yeah. And then they said, I said, what? And I went on. I said, what, you mean? No, we can't. I thought you could. I said, I thought you can come in here.
It's interesting because the WEF is all about stakeholder capitalism.
Yeah.
Which apparently is the stakeholders is us, because we all have a stake in everything that is done in the world. But it's not really open to the public.
Well, this is the thing, because I was there in Geneva, I went on my smartphone, looked it up, WEF, okay, it's down the road. I can get on the bus, fine, the bus is all free, came free with the hotel. You can go down to the WEF. And then I was looking at the website and I thought, I'm going to go down there, there's going to be a cafe and a bookshop, and I can get a postcard of like Eats a Bug and Klaus, and I thought it was going to be fun, and I was actually planning to have my lunch there. So this was not me being like provocative or
right. You're just wondering where the entrance was.
I was just like, so look, I don't care, £2. Is this a cloakroom? Like, can I book in my?
Here's my coat.
Here's my coat. Here's my rucksack. Can I come in? And then the other funny thing he then said was, he said, no, people work here. It was a funny comment. It's like, because the implication was not from me that people didn't work there. He's like saying, no, this is not some tourist thing. Yeah. You member of the public, It's not
Yeah.
some tourist thing where you come and have your coffee and your cakes. Yeah. People actually do work here, you know, and that was his smiley kind of, I've got power. I'm telling you how it is. Yeah. Like,
That's the
what do you
vibe I
think
get.
coming down here? People work here.
Yeah, this is important.
Yeah. So, you know,
Scurry away.
that was quite funny. And then I couldn't resist. And then it had to be a bit more comedy because like I didn't, you know what these people can be like. So then I did a quick photo of me standing by the
Here I am.
open for the public. No, what is it? Is it open for the public? No, just for the bugs. Yeah. Anyway, so but it's fascinating to bring in all of these elements, because the other thing that we went to have a look at, and this is part of a deeper, much deeper subject, but that is the Beau Rivage, where Empress Sissi was assassinated on the pontoon, on the wharf where the boat docks opposite the Beau Rivage and hotel where she was staying. And it's that assassination that, and people will be saying, what on earth is the connection? But that's the other big subject around Geneva, is you've got CERN, about a mile and a half just outside Geneva. You've got the WEF, and then you have, as I was there, is World Trade Organization and the United, is it the United Nations, or, but there's all of these institutions there, and Klaus Schwab's institution. And then I'm bringing up the subject of Empress Sissi just because of the references Steiner makes in a number of lectures about the karmic, her karmic background. That's one thing, but also in other lectures he's talking about assassination, and it's going perhaps too far off topic, or maybe not, but I'm interested in the significant links between her life and Franz Joseph and the machinations behind the First World War. And you're going to subjects and realms that are need to be understood. They're about the occult, and they're about the significance of, and this I think is the link. We were talking last time about the significance of people's lives, their karmic biographies.
So their relationships to other people that have succeeded over different lives. So
yeah, and we pointed out that there was this connection between Martin Bodmer, who died when Klaus Schwab, who was, their families were related and they knew each other, that this, at the age of 33, Klaus Schwab then founded the WEF at the time of this Martin Bodmer's passing. Now, Martin Bodmer, this great collector of manuscripts and arts, and incidentally, as we were there, the exhibition was all about Dante. Was all about the manuscripts and the artistic depictions of this work.
Heaven and hell.
This, again, if you think, go to Sissi's life, which again was all about arts, and how do you find the way from a spiritual, artistic appreciation of life? How do you bring that together with these ideas of economy and the world system and and all
Yeah,
these
being
things.
an empress of an empire, a structure, a system.
Exactly. And the other thing that was to cap it all off was then Sissy's relationship to Ludwig,
Who's
from
Ludwig?
Neuschwanstein and Ludwig of Bavaria, who was the great patron of Wagner.
Okay, don't know.
So that is the other aspect, that it was also surmised that he had a possible dubious death by assassination.
Okay.
So it's again that question of, can the arts play a role in the configuration of a new world or a new society? And I think that's one of the principal aspects of anthroposophy, especially this year with the first Goetheanum anniversary of the burning of the first Goetheanum. So,
Which was an exemplary piece of art.
yeah,
Like nothing that we've seen before.
yeah.
And it's interesting because this also this theme ties in directly to the theme of revenge, because the assassin of Sissy was a poor fellow who felt that the empire and its proponents were the cause of all the miseries of his life and those around him whom he knew. And he went to Geneva specifically, not to kill her, but to kill some other bod I don't remember, as revenge in a way. They've done this to us. This is the revenge. That's what you get for it. He couldn't find the other bod because of rescheduling or something. He learned that Sissy was arriving. So by chance.
Yeah, and I mean, this comes back to there was also, if you think of the assassination of Karl Unger, for example,
Yes.
one of the first anthroposophists, and in a lecture by an anti-Semite assassin, and again we're back into these subjects of geopolitics, whereby the polarization, if one doesn't come to a level where one can look at geopolitics or look at history from an impassioned, objective standpoint, it is about those forces that flow into war and the polarization that brings about those kind of things. Yeah.
It's very human in the end, because as you're speaking about karma, so the succeeding karma between personalities who are placed in high positions, shall we say, also sort of colliding with personalities from low positions, some seeking revenge, some leaders of countries like post First World War Germany seeking revenge, etc., etc. So these geopolitical events are formed by personalities and their passions and relations with other people. What happens when they meet other people.
Yeah, and this was the part of the subject where you say, what is it that lives in revenge? That this was a subject that we might have to come back to in this part 3, but we were looking at this relationship back to the subject of Vidar and Norse mythology, and Vidar and Vihari, Vidar's brother, and showing two aspects of revenge, that within revenge you have the fire, and again, when we've studied this before, my question has been to people to go into, look at one's biography and to see those times when you have felt the desire for maybe not revenge against the person, because that's where it descends into that eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, I shall get my own back on that person.
And
But
then you have vendettas.
yeah,
Never-ending
blood,
vendetta.
uh, yeah, and but I think within that there's a fire that if you look into parts of your life where you've been condemned or told, oh, you'll never amount to anything, you know, like if you look back I remember a music teacher who's saying that to me. It always stays with me. He said, Richard, you're never going to be anything. Yeah, just that one sentence. I don't think he ever said, because I was annoying him one day or something. Yeah, that was it. You're never going to be anything. Yeah, and it's like there's that. If you just take the energy that's put out there, that kind of condemning, cruel energy, and just look at how your soul. I'm not saying that it was very formative of my life, that I was constantly meditating on what this music teacher said to me, but I think you can find other examples of this in life, and then you recognize, you do see there's part of your soul that does meditate on other people, especially, other people that are close to you. Their condemnation does start over time to stoke a fire to prove them somehow wrong. And I think it's that if you seek out every word that is said, I think it's one of the great things of anthroposophy. I don't know even when Steiner said it or if he ever did, but somehow there's an inheritance that we have from anthroposophy that every word is important. I don't even know where that comes from, but that every word, like every deed, is important. And if
thoughts are real, and thoughts, embody words.
Yeah, and if that is true, to seek out the source of when was the moment when I decided, even maybe just to use that example again, but even with that music teacher, maybe there was a point in my life where I said, no, I'm not gonna take that on to never amount to anything. I mean, I still suffer with music, so maybe there's.
But it does come back to the art, because there's that, it ignites that fire, and that fire can be expressed just in a vindictive fashion, generally through some powerful, hurtful gesture, or it can become a creative fire, as embodied by the short fellow with a lot to prove, who's been depressed all his life.
Yeah, perhaps like this Hiram character is the short fellow, like if you're over my left shoulder. But this, yeah, exactly. I mean, if you've ever known, I'll just finish with this maybe, because we're gonna have to turn it off until part 3. But if you've ever known any, we can start on the next one with this. If you've ever known it, I used to know a short guy, and he did have that fire. It's not like he was he wasn't like a short guy who always got into fights and things like this. But there was an incredible fire in him, simply because I think because he was always, and this was not academic circles. This guy was moved in more on circles, more on like sort of criminal circles and things like this. But he had an incredible fire due to that. I mean, I don't know, maybe that's part of this.
It's wonderful, because again, you can grasp this through the artistic sense and aesthetic sense. So if something is compressed like that and compacted, there is more energy. And it's like with revenge, someone's putting you down, oppressing, then something can build up. Does that just strike back out, or does it become a creative energy? Is it?
Well, all that is in the painting, behind. If we see all of that compressed into this Hiram figure that's half the size of the other people, and then you see also he has command of all of the, compositionally, but also symbolically, and the gazes and everything all lead to his power and his back. He's the one with his back to us.
Yes.
So
Right.
again, we are being drawn
He,
into his body in a way, whereas the upright lady in pink is drawing our consciousness in our ich, in that uprightness. But being drawn into the backspace of this Hiram.
and it's interesting that he's more swarthy, and then he's gesturing also over towards the coloured fellow, who's
Mm,
the darkest of them all, in the sense of that light is held back the most, so that
mm.
energy is contained and
Yeah, and the
building
most
up there.
youthful. I think that was the other point that we were making. The most youthful of the figures, the freshest, is,
The friendliest.
and the one on the furthest of outside of the hierarchy, from king, aristocracy, ladies in waiting, down to the
Yeah.
artisan, to the servant. And
I love the way he's holding this tray of treasures, but it's very irreverent. Like on the other side to him, opposite, is the knight with the sword, the symbol, the structure. And he's just got, oh, here's all that golden stuff. It's all falling over. Like, we know you need it. What are you going to do with it?
yeah, there's
Doesn't mean anything to me.
Bachalian.
Can't eat it.
Yeah. Oh, it's exactly. There's I think it's an energy we feel most drawn to. If you think, like, where do we feel drawn in our humanity? It's
There's
to that figure. It's not even to Hiram. It's to the
youthful.
servant
Yeah.
figure. That's far less abstract than the
The
carbon
stiff, upright.
copies,
Yeah.
stiletto heads stuck on. And why are all these ladies wearing armor? That's another. Is it? There's another question that we just overlooked. Like, dressed in armor. Anyway, I think we'll have to leave it there and come back to that on the next